Hey everybody, Michael Jean here from Big Damn Films, and welcome to a special bonus episode of the Big Damn Podcast. This one is from a panel from Rose City Comic Con called 2025 called Firefly and Serenity, the History of Fandom 20 Years Later. It's about how a bunch of different Browncoats from Us with Redemption and PDX Browncoats and Can't Stop the Serenity all came together with their love of Firefly and turned it into action in the form of guerrilla marketing that helped get Serenity made, our fan film, and just universally raising hundreds of $1,000s for charity. I want to give a quick thanks to the PDX Guild of Geeks and Geek the Halls for flying me out to be a part of this. I couldn't have done it without them and my amazing wife, Jennifer, still recovering from the stroke a bit, but their support made it really, really easy. So let's get into it.
Now it's going to be fine.
It's going to be fine. Right. Okay.
All right, can everyone repeat after me? Anna, it's going to be fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
She's not Anna. Hi, I'm Anna. Welcome to the history of the Browncoat Fandom panel. This was a panel that just kind of came together because this fandom, the show, is 20 years old this year. And the movie came out,
The movie came out in 2005. The show came out in 2002.
The movie is 20 years old. The show
is 23 years old.
Which is not as auspicious.
The show can drink.
Yeah. But we were thinking about the particular specialness of the Browncoats and the fandom that grew out of the show and the movie, and just how unique it was. One series of episodes and one movie created a global ground roots effort to bring people together, to do good work, to have events and form relationships. And it was really we were talking about this earlier at dinner, it was really in part because of the way the internet existed at the time.
We should probably introduce ourselves.
Yes, we should. So, starting at this person so I'm Anna. We're gonna start with her over here.
All right. Hi, my name is Kara Helgren. I am I'm a member of PDX Guild of Geeks. We were formerly PDX Browncoats. Now we're just in more fruity flavors. You're still next.
Hi, I'm Anna.
Turn your name into a drinking game.
Yeah. I am the secretary of PDX Guild of Geeks, and I am the person who started Geek the Halls, if you're familiar with that. And also, if you showed up for Queer Quest, that was me.
As this says, I am seat 2, delegate 2. I'm kidding. My name is Michael Jean. Yes, that is my last name. I am the writer and director of this nice little movie called Browncoats Redemption. Your pity is noted.
That movie raised $200,000 for charity, did it not?
Yeah. Amongst other things.
Amazing. Yep. I'm Mike Russell. Two mics next to each other won't be confusing at all. I started out covering the scene as a journalist for the Oregonian and some other outlets back in 2005 in advance of the movie, which was really fun. And afterwards, I kind of just stayed involved as a fan. When I was on a show called Court and Fat Boy, which was a local podcast, we hosted a Firefly at the Mission screening series at the Mission Theater. Did anybody go to that? No? Yeah, right on. Yes, that was fun. And then got involved with my buddy Bill Mudrin. We started a series of fan comics called Serenity Tales, which ran you can still find on Tumblr, and done a few comics one of which turned up in the back of Float Out for Dark Horse. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Christine Mooney. I'm the member at large for PDX Browncoats, formerly, or now PDX Guild of Geeks, formerly PDX Browncoats. I now coordinate Geek the Halls and when we do other events, and I'm part historian, kind of, I guess, too.
So one of the things that I think to get kind of a baseline is to talk about the history here in Portland and how it came to be and how it grew into one of the biggest and most well-known events, Can't Stop the Serenity, and go from there. So I'm going to actually turn that over to Mike Russell and Christine to talk about a little bit because they were there at the beginning.
Hold on, can I ask, who has attended a Can't Stop the Serenity by show of hands? Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Let's make the nurse talk. So the movie came out, was kind of doing okay, and was Bix one true Bix at that time, or just Bix? He was the one true Bix. Okay, so he was a blogger and things like that, and a big brown coat, and really enjoyed Serenity. And he had this idea to just really kind of keep the movie in everybody's, being able to see it a lot. And so he started a website called Can't Stop the Serenity, and it listed where Serenity was playing around the world. So from September of 2005 all the way into 2006. The last couple screenings in the Portland area, I think, were like at the Laurel Thirst and stuff. And in those, we would go do that, and then we'd go sit and drink too much coffee or too much beer or something like that. Occasionally we would get in, there is still a really wonderful woman named Sarah, and she had a van because she had a family, and she would take us all around places. And so after a screening, we would go to these things, and how are we going to keep this going? And Bix had the idea, why don't we do a screening for charity? Prior to even the movie coming out and the previews of the movies that they did, they actually did get permission. They did do a screening of an episode or a couple of episodes at one of the old theaters in downtown. So they had done that also to kind of raise money for charities. And that was before any of us were nonprofit or anything. But basically that was the idea. Why don't we screen the movie and try to raise money for charity just to kind of keep this going? It really means a lot to all of us. And in a van one night, driving between Portland and Vancouver or something, then the idea was like, why don't we tell a bunch of all these other browncoats we know? Because we are PDX browncoats. There is the San Diego browncoats and the California browncoats, and there's the Austin browncoats, and there were browncoats in Maryland and Washington, D.C. and New York. And so, and again, like you guys were talking about early internet, and so you'd send Yahoo lists and emails and kind of spread the word. But that is kind of what started it. And it really took off from there. And the first screening then, the idea was we'll do it on Joss's birthday, and we'll do it worldwide, countrywide, and all of that money will go to the charity Equality Now, which is a women's international rights charity. But it really started as this idea in Portland one night, just wanting to keep this going, this community that was kind of coming, like Fandom and Geekydom were kind of growing just the tiniest bit back then, and you found people like you and kind of kept going.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add to that, it was beautiful, is it was wonderful to watch. So a lot of times, this speaks to the quality of that scene. The fandom was much like the show. It was like full of crafty people who really like to get things done, very bootstrappy, It was really beautiful, and that was one of the genius things, was that you were trying to keep it alive, but you found the most unselfish way possible to keep it alive, which I thought was super beautiful.
Yeah, kind of for us for a lot of us, especially me, it was kind of like it was geeking for good. And out of that idea then we got in touch with Cinema 21, and that's where the first screening was that first night. And we were like, please let people show up. Please let people show up. We were all kicking in our own money to do the beginning parts of it. We had an artist create some art and do some t-shirts and stuff like that. And it sold out, and it was packed. And it just started that thing of, oh, we've got something. We got through this. And actually I have the note the very first year. So in 2006, There were 41 participating cities in 5 different countries, and we raised almost $66,000 worldwide, which in 2006, with a lot of people just starting with their own money and stuff, that's a pretty good start. And it went way beyond that.
It's also an artifact of a moment in Portland that was happening where there was just kind of like this, we were talking about this at dinner, there was like this groundswell of just sort of, I would say, geek culture activity happening in Portland. It was like this epicenter, and like, you know, at the same time that's going on, you're having things like Trek in the Park are happening, and all these hyper-local podcasts, and it was just like, there was this really special scene that was happening, and that was a beautiful part of it.
Yeah, there was, I mean, because Portland, of course, we have a lot of really artistic people, and we have a lot of really nerdy people, and all of those things kind of create a little bit of a confluence in around 2005 for a number of years until we all retired. So just how many of you were in Portland for CSTS, for Trek in the Park, for these things that happened between about 2005 and 2015? Okay, we got some few. Hey Norm. Yeah, so this is, I mean, part of the Browncoats fandom, and especially like when it comes to CSTS and some of the really big events, is also connected to our little bit of local Portland history. Because the Can't Stop the Serenity event, of course, you know, started here. So, yeah.
So Mike is from the East Coast, Mike Jane here, and so I was hoping he could talk a little bit about how his part of the world found out about CSTS and how he got involved and what that looked like for him.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Baltimore, but I live in New Jersey now. I'm really sorry about that. I'm kidding, my wife's in front of me, she's from New Jersey. So, how many people watched Firefly when it was on TV? Same. So I raced to my TV, you know, I'm gonna be honest, I learned about Firefly before I saw Buffy and Angel. Oh my God, there was an audible gasp. I know. So, because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I'm like space western, like that's up my alley. So I chased this around when it was getting replaced by Major League Baseball, when it was moved from like Thursday to whatever. And then the movie came out, and I saw that movie probably 15 times. There were times where it was me and one other person in the theater, and I didn't care. So then I went to this event called Dragon Con. I used to go every year, and I met Christine. And I heard about Can't Stop the Serenity. And I said, what's that? And she's like, it's a charity thing of you show Serenity and all the proceeds goes to Equality Now. And I'm like, great, I'm doing one. Which is a very much Browncoat way. You make a decision before you have a plan, and then you just figure it out. Because the Firefly fandom is very charitable. When you say you're doing Firefly anything, people show up. So I put on the 2009, 10, and 11 CSTS in Baltimore. It sold out every time. It was one of the coolest things that I got to do because like you can introduce new people to Serenity that way. So the theater was normally 70% Browncoats and 30% new people who immediately left there and was like, where can I see season 2? Yeah. And then you had to lie to them and say you just saw it. But in addition to that, like I met Christine because I went to 2008 Dragon Con, and a guy I met, who's a fellow Browncoat, was like, have you ever thought about doing a Firefly fan film? And I was like, no, but we're doing it the Browncoat way. Say yes and then come up with a plan. So I was in the works of figuring that out when I learned about CSTS. So yeah, I mean, there is no Browncoats Redemption without CSTS.
Can I ask, what informed you having a charity component to your fan film?
Because Fox wouldn't let us make money. No, I'm kidding. That is partially true. So, for those of you who has seen Browncoats Redemption, there are more hands than I expected. So in 2008, Stephen Fisher and I were talking, and he's like, well, have you ever thought of making a Firefly fan film? Because we kept bitching that there wasn't more Firefly. So he was like, have you thought about it? I'm like, no, but we're doing it, and I'm not doing it so I can get sued. So we're getting Joss's permission. My last name at the time was Doherty. So Michael Doherty also wrote Superman Returns and X-Men 2 and a bunch of other great stuff for Fox. So when Michael Doherty calls Fox and says, can I have Joss Whedon's office? They go, yes, sir. And I got through a series of calls and I got, hi, this is Tim from production. And I said, Tim, I really just want Joss's assistant. He goes, this is Tim from production. And I went, Tim, I just want Joss's assistant. And he goes, okay. And I talked to his assistant at the time. So we sent in, she's like, Joss gets his emails on Tuesdays, can't guarantee when he'll respond. So if you go to the Browncoats Redemption Facebook page today, you'll see the autograph email that I printed out that Joss signed that says Joss thinks it's cool and you have his blessing, but he can't speak for Fox and Universal. Which at the time, Serenity was owned by Universal and Fox had Firefly. So there was some negotiation being done. And Fox was like, great, you can't make a dime. I'm like, can I raise money for charity? And they're like, we don't care, as long as you're not making a profit. I'm like, great. So we raised money for our Equality Now, Kids Need to Read, which was co-founded by Nathan Fillion and PJ Harzma. Dyslexia Foundation, which Joel State supported, Marine Corps Law Enforcement Foundation, which was Adam Baldwin's. Thank you. I apologize. I had a stroke 15 weeks ago, so I'm going to be a little bit spacey. And then there was one more that we did. There's 5 charities total. Yeah. Something. It's all on our website. Go check it out. And from there, we were allowed to raise money for charity, and we had a premiere at Dragon Con in 2010. We were allowed 1 year to move as much as we can, and we did $117,000 net for the charity split 5 ways. And the close on that Tim story is at Dragon Con, the year our movie came out. We had an opportunity to interview a bunch of people from the show. One of those being Tim Minear, the producer of Firefly and 9/11 and or 911 and a bunch of other stuff. Who, when he and I did an interview on the bonus features, and he goes, "Hi, I'm Tim from production." So yeah.
So just to give you an idea, at the premiere of Browncoats Redemption at Dragon Con, it was in a giant ballroom at one of the hotels, and it was packed to the rafters. It was amazing. It was the most amazing experience being in the middle of this room and fans all around us and just being blown away by what Mike had created. It was a lot of fun.
This is where I gotta stop you. I didn't do this alone. As with any Browncoat fandom, it's done by a community, which is why there's people from different places in Washington up here. There's people from different states. I got very lucky that about 200 Browncoats came together and volunteered their time and space, and it was put together by fans for fans. 1,400 people waited in line for 3.5 hours. Only 1,100 got in. The only other line that was that long at all of Dragon Con that year was Nathan Fillion's the night before. So for those of you that haven't seen the movie, what I'm going to do is, if you go to find the Browncoats Redemption Facebook page, there'll be a post next week. If you go to our Patreon for $3, we're going to show the movie with some of the cast and crew. Which, by the way, is the only way to see it, unless you want to spend $290 on eBay.
You bring up an interesting point where how you were able to get through on the phone and get that. This is one of the weird things about both the intimacy of this scene and the size of the scene and the time in which it was all happening is, that was one thing that was unique about this, in addition, of course, to its charitable go-for-itness, is there wasn't a lot of separation at that time between the fans and the people who made the show. Like that, it seemed to me like that, the distance between those in this scene was a lot smaller than in a lot of other fandoms that I've seen.
Well, there was a convention that kind of fell apart where the cast actually ended up just drinking with fans.
Yeah.
Flanvention.
Flanvention.
Was anybody at Flanvention?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Norm. Sorry, Norm.
Well, I mean, this was, we had Mike, Anna, and I had a little bit of a conversation about how our fandom, how Browncoats as a fandom also originated at kind of an interesting time where the internet was very different. It was, because we're older, there wasn't social media. Social media wasn't really a thing. There was MySpace. There was Yahoo groups. There was
Friendster.
forums. Friendster. Oh God.
Posting
I've forgotten
boards.
about Friendster. But most of this was being done and organized via, like Yahoo groups and forums and chat boards and meetups and email and randomly emailing Universal and being like, hey, can we show your movie? That was really what we did. We sent an email and hoped for the best. And that was also a time period when, some people that you likely know, like Ronald D. Moore, Jane Espenson, were able to send pitch ideas for episodes to like TNG, Star Trek Next Generation, and be brought on as writers. And that's not really a thing anymore. Like there's a lot more layers to go through. It seems like at this point where there's a lot more hoops to jump through if you want to do something sort of like this. So we got really lucky.
So, yeah, I can speak to that. So in making Browncoats, I learned how licensing works with a studio. You would think there's one person that's responsible for Firefly. You're wrong. There is one person responsible for still photos. There's one person responsible if you want to show it on TV. There's one person responsible if you want to show it on a plane. There's another person. So for every iteration of what you think it could be used for, there's a separate lawyer. And they often don't talk to each other. Back in early 2000, when CSTS was coming up, there were very few of those, so it was a lot easier.
Yeah, so the kind of the way that the Browncoats fandom was sort of born was also in a bit more of a DIY slap together internet sort of way. So it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition, right? So that's my whole point.
Well, and also the thing that was interesting is, I interviewed Whedon once and he said he's a deadhead. And so he appreciated DIY fan stuff. He was like, yeah, you see bootleg stuff sold at deadhead shows. It's like, yeah, I kind of he liked that energy with the Browncoats and that scene. And it was, I think today probably fan art is actually seen now as an actual extension of the world of marketing. But then it was something you did have to be a little concerned about, and I think we were very, very blessed that there were people in charge of Firefly who really supported and enjoyed that energy.
Unlike, say, Disney.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I mean, that's where there are three fandoms that I know of that have that kind of community, which is Star Trek, Star Wars, and Firefly. Like where the cross section between fandom and the product actually exists.
Yeah, and they're you could go onto IMDb and do a free week pro subscription and pull down everybody's addresses, like all their office addresses. So if you were, say, I don't know, inviting somebody from the production crew to your event you could do that. You could just send them mail. And a lot of times we would be able to send things to Joss or to Jane or to whomever, just pack it up in a box and ship it off, and we would know they got it. It was such a weird time to be doing things like this. It was just very, like Mike was saying, there was no separation. It was very hands-on.
I mean, just the marketing plan they had for Serenity, where they're like, let's show the work print with the template special effects 5 times in different parts of the country. I don't think I've ever heard, maybe you know something I don't, but I don't think that's ever been done before or since as a marketing plan.
Not as a it's generally like they call it like a test audience, and it's generally something you get part of if you're walking through, God, I'm gonna date myself. Back then when you'd walk through a mall, there'd be someone with a clipboard that's like, do you have time to watch a movie that's not released yet? But this was the only time they went, no, you're going to see Serenity and it's not finished. I haven't seen anybody do that since.
Hey, Mike, talk about the Sarah Paulson thing.
Oh, yeah. Right. No, like, so did anybody in this audience, God, we're sounding like a bunch of olds going, remember when? No, but did anybody in this audience go to any of those, like, they would screen the unfinished cuts of the film? No, wow, this was amazing. Yeah, okay, so you were there. Very few, though. This was amazing. They did this marketing thing where they were like, okay, we're going to generate ground interest by showing an unfinished film in theaters, and we could go pay to see it. And they did it 5 times before the movie was officially released. And you would watch it change. And I remember, like, in the movie, if you've seen the film, there's in the finale, Sarah Paulson comes on as a hologram and goes, here's what the Reavers are. And that was a totally different actress at one point. And at some point, and she wasn't very good, I hate to say. And there was a point where, it just wasn't a strong performance for that moment. And then the next time we saw it, she was gone. It was really, really interesting to watch. And it obviously, given Serenity's box office, it wasn't the groundswell they thought it was going to be, but it was a super interesting moment in film marketing history to be part of.
Something that I find amazing about also kind of what came out of this is, so us and California Browncoats and Austin and several other became nonprofits, and we are still a 501c3 nonprofit. There was things like the Browncoat Ball, which still, they just had the Browncoat Ball in LA, like last weekend?
Next week.
Yeah, huh? Next week, yeah. Yeah, so we had that once. Some cities, we did Can't Stop the Serenity for 10 years. And then after a while, we were like, okay, we're really tired. But some places are still doing it. Salt Lake City has an amazing group of people there that still, they hold screenings, Mike, so they took Browncoats Redemption to a bunch of different conventions around the country. Well,
And countries.
And countries, yes, and countries, yeah. I was the West Coast, so, Mike and I he would fly into San Francisco and I would pick him up at the airport and we'd stay in a terrible hotel and go to WonderCon and screen the movie. And then, okay, now we're gonna go down to the creation conventions in LA, and now we're back up in Seattle and, that kind of stuff. But through that 10 years of what we did Serenity, we were still having meetups and shindigs and things like that. And, the pandemic really kind of took a bite out of a lot of that. Also age, again, like we're all just, but, to me, for me, Firefly gave me dear friendships. These, Anna and Kara and then Diana there and I have been friends for 20 years. They have seen me through nursing school, through small children who are now all grown up. And
we just met tonight.
Yeah, just tonight. Yes, I'm picking up at the airport at midnight last night. It's going to Dragon Con and watching screenings still happening at Dragon Con, and Browncoats still getting together and having a party and going to another party and that kind of things, and still trying to, and whenever possible, still trying to do it with a charitable aspect. We still do Geek the Halls. Funds from Geek the Halls are donated every year. When we do Pride to do that. And I know that there are other groups out there still doing that, but also we're seeing that in lots of other fandoms now, and so many mixtures of fandoms and things that I don't know anything about, but I see, the next generations and, people I know who've moved on to something else, and they're doing a screening or making a book together or making a cookbook or just and then turning around, and whatever funding comes out of that is being donated to people who need it more than us.
So I have a real quick question. Who in this room would go to a CSTS if they had one next year? Thank you.
Only if you're coming out and helping organize it.
I'll make you a deal.
I have another question. Who wants to help?
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
That's great.
Awesome.
See us after class.
I will make you a deal. If you do a Serenity Browncoats Redemption double feature, I will come.
Okay.
And
It's gonna be fine.
I'll bring snacks.
So we can do a few questions if anybody has any questions for our panelists or about the history or about anything about what we've done. We're happy to answer them, and if you don't, that is okay too, because I know it's kind of late in the day. But yeah, it's so if anybody has any questions, feel free to shout them out.
Or there's a microphone.
Just speaking of the origin, kind of a Firefly fandom, etc., do you have any plans tonight to talk about the Done the Impossible documentary?
That's great. Yeah, it was Brian that did the documentary, put an amazing, I think you can still get it on Amazon.
I think so.
Yeah.
I
If you
think
haven't seen it yet, go to Amazon, get Done the Impossible. It's a really beautiful documentary. Brian, who made the documentary, is actually one of the captains in Browncoats Redemption as a cameo. It's a beautiful tribute to the fandom. So please check it out.
I have a question. So you made a fan film 20 years ago when that was a more difficult thing to do.
I made a feature-length fan film
Right. So the
when
thing
it was more difficult to do.
So today, the tools, especially since the advent of the iPhone, the tools of filmmaking have gotten cheaper and smaller and easier.
Yeah.
So and really just like the world of making these things is more convenient. What if you were doing it today?
Jesus.
What would you do differently?
One, that's a loaded question. Two, if I was doing it today, it would be so much easier. So when we filmed it in 2009, to get those 200 people, I had to go to conventions every weekend all around the United States, collect emails on paper, because I couldn't be like, what's your Snapchat? Like, that didn't exist. We would have done millions if we could put it out now. We did really well for 2010. The phone that I'm recording this panel on right now has all the capability the camera I used in 2009 had. So if you are an inspiring filmmaker, you have an amazing amount of technology at your fingertips right now, more than I ever had, on your phone. Between YouTube, your phone, everything in between. What would I do differently? Holy shit. That's a whole separate panel. Here's what I wouldn't do differently. I think that's an easier question. I wouldn't have done it without the fandom. I wouldn't have done it without involving people who love Firefly. Like, you can't do that. It's impossible. I got really lucky. We had like less than a handful of people who had professional film experience. Everyone else, including myself, had never made a movie before. So when I tell you the Browncoat way is make a plan and figure it out later, I sat in a Starbucks and decided we're going to do it, and then figured it out down the road. What would I do different? We would have gotten the 2 cameos I really wanted. So for those of you that don't know, Adam Baldwin made a cameo. Michael Fairman made cameo. Greg Edmondson, who did the score of Firefly, donated a track. We had 2 cameos that I really, really wanted that we couldn't for time and technical reasons, that if we did today wouldn't be a problem with the phone. And yeah, outside of that, it's now that you ask that question, I'm like, holy shit, what we accomplished in 2010. Yeah, that's it. Oh, where's our tech person? Is it on?
If not, we can hear you. Can repeat the question.
Yeah, we can hear you and repeat.
I turn it back on, I turn it off, turn it back on, and then the light's not showing up anymore.
We can hear you. What do you
Yeah,
want?
so just ask the question.
So, I mean, this is just like a Firefly fandom question in general.
Sure.
Right? Y'all ever get your hands on the official Big Damn Cookbook?
Yes, I have one in my kitchen.
We had one and we sold it for a nice little bit of money at Geek the Halls last year.
Yes.
Yeah. Just wanted to throw that out there.
No, it's
Yeah.
good plug.
What is your favorite recipe from the Big Damn
Ooh,
Cookbook?
Great question.
Mother's milk.
This thing ain't working. I think it was pork jerky.
Pork jerky,
Or the,
okay.
Eggy mush,
Piggy mush.
which, similar to a food that I have at home.
All right, more questions? Please don't be shy.
I just wanted to say one more thing. When you were talking about Done the Impossible, thank you very much. I have it. It sits next to me on my chair. And I think that really kind of goes back to what they were talking about it being the internet at a certain time. Firefly disappeared on us. And I actually did not see it in the original. I saw it just prior to the movie. But, in that, there are people at home on their computers, on their posting boards, on their forums, that put together, groundswell, but just got everybody else together, write the letters, meet people in meeting rooms, show up in front of them in the mall, and that is what led to Serenity being made, which is then what got us to kind of, so thank you for mentioning that,
So-
but it's pretty amazing, again.
So real quick, the message boards were super critical back in the day. There used to be a message board called the Loon, for Saloon. And there was a browncoat named Lux as his username.
Oh, that's right.
And he passed away, and but he was the icon of the message boards in the day. So much so that in our movie, we called the bar the Loon, and one of our main characters was named Lux for him. Again, doing something different today, I don't know that a lot of that would happen the same way, because those message boards, kids' message boards were the predecessor to blogs.
And Reddit.
Now, kids' blogs. If you want to see what a message board looked like, go to Reddit and imagine it was shoddily put together.
More shoddily put
No,
together.
So a lot of this panel is turning into, we're 15 years older than all of you.
Yeah.
But the one of the things I wanted to say, you asked how many people watch it on TV, and they all raised their hands, and I was like, how I discovered Firefly? On Real Player, on a 480p box, this big. I was like, oh, this show's great. I was watching the Mario 64 version of it, and that's how I found the show. I found it through bootleg Real Players hosted on some obscure
Mine
webpage.
wasn't.
Now, kids' Real Player.
There was a question.
Yeah, there was a question. We got a question right back here.
I appreciate you talking about the struggles you had to go for every little use of the clips versus screenshots versus
I know it's not from the world, but have you ever tried to use the notoriously affiliated meme as part of a draw? And has that encountered a different working with that? So, you know, the one from Castle where he's kind of dumbfounded, but everybody thinks it's from Firefly, that isn't really, you know?
Oh yeah, the one where it's like, he's like,
Yeah, that one.
yeah, I use that meme religiously.
I just had to ask for legal aid permissions for that. Is it any different from the rest of the Firefly?
So using a meme isn't something you need to really get legal permission from, but for those of you that don't know, Nathan had a show called Castle, and he had one episode where he actually dressed up as the costume, and the character's daughter looked at him and said, like, didn't you wear that like 15 years ago?
Yeah, I think, do memes fall under fair use, or?
Yeah, memes fall under fair use.
Other questions?
And that is it. The panel is over. We went over, but.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, one more question. Real quick.
Oh, one more question. Go for it.
It goes till 9.
Oh, does it? Yeah. Never mind.
8:15 to 9. What time is it?
Because it's my.
Oh, we got 7 minutes. Let's go.
All right, what you
I
got?
slept for hours just to be good for this panel. Let's go.
I saw a hand, was there a hand over here? Yeah.
I was hoping you could repeat your plug for when you screening the.
Repeat your plug for the screening.
For Browncoats Redemption on the Patreon.
Oh, repeat the plug.
Facebook, Patreon.
No, if you go to Facebook, look up Browncoats Redemption. It's spelled exactly like it sounds. That's the Facebook page that's been in existence since 2009. I update it infrequently, generally. Like yesterday, September 4th, was the 15th anniversary of the Dragon Con premiere. So every year we'll do like a small like streaming with friends and family and the cast of the movie. That's it. Hold on, scroll down.
Man, it's not long.
It's going to take a second, yeah.
It's okay. Keep going. There we go. So you'll see this. All the cast members got a t-shirt, took pictures with it. The bottom left image is the autograph by Joss, which is my fun, like, ha-ha card to pull when people are like, you didn't get permission. So go to the Facebook page, like the page, and sometime later this week when I get home, I'll put an announcement of the Big Damn Films, because again, when we started, we had to make it a charity, so our charity name was Browncoats Big Damn Fan Films. And now the company is for-profit, and it's just called Big Damn Films. So you'll see an announcement, and we'll put it up for Patreon. We have a Patreon account. You can come see the movie for $3 and then cancel your Patreon membership. Yep.
What is the name of the Patreon account for those of us who don't have Facebook?
Big Damn Films. Yes, ma'am.
Do you guys have any favorite word phrases you use constantly on the show, like Ram and Shiny?
Shiny is used on a weekly basis. My wife's gonna kill me.
Don't you dare.
So I have a phrase that is the most offensive thing you could say in Chinese in my movie that one character says to another. And my wife's gonna kill me. So
No, it's fine. You can say it.
who knows Mandarin?
As long as you're white.
Just the one. So in Browncoats, the whole thing is it's like Star Trek: The Next Generation, new ship, new crew, same universe. So they hire a
You're fine.
they hire a pilot, and the pilot and the captain like get spicy with each other verbally, and the pilot looks at the captain and says "Gunny Ma," which is literally the most offensive. I asked for the most offensive thing you could say in Chinese, which is not going to be said in this room because I think I saw a minor. But yeah, shiny is used indiscriminately.
I swear by my pretty floral bonnet.
I'm a nurse and I worked in critical care for a while, and at some point in time there was a code going on and stuff like that, and we, things went well and walked out of the room, and I don't know who said it, but somebody said something about like, oh, we're heroes, and I was like, ain't we just? and like everyone like, what the hell? And one person way down the hallway, yes!
Seriously starting to damage my calm. It's a common one between me and my wife. Yeah.
Were I unwed, I'd take you in a manly fashion.
Who's got more questions? Norm.
Question, I was just going to say, the Browncoat Ball tickets go off sale at midnight tonight.
All right, so if you want to go to the Browncoat Ball
In LA.
in LA, get your tickets tonight.
I'd like to point out that's one of the few times you'll see me in a button-down shirt.
Oh, well, that's fun.
Okay. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Can we get a picture of everybody in the room with the panel? Would that be okay? Would you guys mind hanging out for just a second? Awesome, thank you.
Oh, can I do the end of panel thing where we say, like, what you guys change the name of the PDX Browncoats? What do you, if you want to participate online in your community, where do you go?
Oh yeah. Okay, so we are currently PDX Guild of Geeks. You can find us every Black Friday weekend at the Doubletree Hotel. We do Geek the Halls. It is a crafty, it is a nerdy craft fair.
Let me.
65 crafters,
It is
free to come shop.
Portland's oldest geek craft fair at Quality Bazaar.
She's got to say it every time.
Yeah.
And then you can also find us, you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Instagram, you can find us at our website, PDX Guild of Geeks. We're not on Reddit, we're not on whatever they call it now.
Oh, we need to be louder than them.
Are we on, we're not on Blue Sky yet, are we? Do we need to be on Blue Sky? I don't know.
Okay,
We need to be on Blue Sky.
I'm going to make it really easy. If you went to the Browncoats Redemption page, there is PDX Guild of Geeks and Geek Dolls tags and everything.
There you go. Michael is doing all of our PR because we're terrible at it. But yes, that is where you can find us. Feel free to come and chat with us. We'll be around. Thank you all again so much for coming and enjoying our Nostalgia Fest.
And we're going to grab a quick selfie with you
Oh
guys.
yes, that's right. Please don't leave. We're going to take a big picture. Big damn picture.
And that's it. The Firefly and Serenity history of the fandom 20 years later, live recording from Rose City Comic Con 2025. Again, big thanks to PDX Guild of Geeks and Geek the Halls for making the trip possible, and to DJ Zafer, as always, for our intro and outro music. If you like what we're doing here at the Big Damn Podcast, subscribe, follow us on our socials, and join our Patreon to help keep our indie magic alive. Thanks for listening, and as always, keep telling your big damn stories. I think I did it. All right. Thanks, guys.